So, who wants a propaganda cartoon?
Me,
Now,
me,
what
me,
do you,
me.
what do you, what do you think when you say that term? You usually think, especially when it comes to Disney, something like, say, the Furious Face, Donald, being enslaved by the Third Reich, or in other terms, something like Captain America punching Hitler in the face. This is slightly different. Disney, after Fantasia, as we mentioned, was kind of in a bit of trouble because they have essentially blew their load a bit too early, and unfortunately, the world was in World War II at that moment. So, a good solution that Disney, much like all the other studios, wasn't like a one-time thing for one studio, was to being contracted by the United States to produce some propaganda stuff. Sometimes it was about, demonizing Hitler. Other times it was about buying war bonds. And then there was this. Around the time, the South American governments, after, being freed from being colonies of Spain and Portugal mostly, they had installed, unfortunately, dictatorships on their own. So logically, the United States was kind of worried that they were going to have a local set of Hitlers in their backyard, essentially. So what they did was start immediately negotiating, because at the time we were not involved in the war, immediately. And so they had this kind of deal. You stay quiet where you are, we remove a bit of troops here and there, and to be in good faith, we will make sure to promote a lot of tourism so that people go on vacation to you, you get more economy going on your own, and we're good friends all around. Again, mind you, most of these were authoritarian fascist dictatorship, but again, working on one problem at a time, probably. And this is actually one of the two major products that Walt Disney did for their theatrical animated movies. Saludos Amigos, a very short one, 40 minutes. There was supposed to be more of that. As the intro itself will explain, the Disney animators essentially went on a vacation for Mexico and Brazil in order to study the local culture, and produce shorts that would paint, the countries in a positive, colorful way, so that they could encourage people to spend their tourism time there. Which did work, and to this day, this and the other movies that they did are very well beloved in South America. My country knows it too. Unfortunately, it had a bit of trouble in release, but thankfully nowadays, thanks to Blu-rays and especially Disney Plus, now there is the full version in HD without any censorship of any kind. Because if I recall correctly, the character that got introduced in this, I forgot if he does it just also in this, and not just in the other movie, smokes a cigar, so that probably in the early 2000s people were like, no, we cannot show that. But we dwindled too much enough. Start as the movie is literally starting on the Walt Disney Presents logo. In 3, 2, 1, click. All right, so who actually has seen this movie before?
Me.
Oh, I
heard of
watched
it.
this
Nope.
a ton. I watched this a ton as a kid.
I actually had basically a VHS that combined both this and the Three Caballeros. So there's that. Also, another thing.
Oh yeah, that was the thing. When I watched this, I always thought, we'll get to see that Free Caballeros skit on it. Actually, no, it turned out the Free Caballeros was a
separate
completely
thing.
different thing.
For another time. But here's another trivia thing. For my country, and I think a couple other European ones, all the songs are sung in the original language from where it came from. So if it's Brazil, it's Brazilian Portuguese, and if Mexican Spanish, rather than actually having translated them. Mind you, we really not even had subtitles. The idea behind it was to, like I said, paint a picture, an exotic picture of the countries to involve the viewer to actually go see that. So, and having the language without actually being knowing it is actually a good terms of publicity in my country. That is why, and there appreciation courtesy.
So if I recall correctly,
Walt Disney needed money.
So if I recall correctly, well, okay, it's kind of a well-known factor among Disney aficionados that this is part of the packaging era, or the World War II era.
Yeah, the propaganda era. This was just a difference because this was treated as one of their main stuff, while most of the others were just a collection of shorts, like, say, Donald enlisting, Donald having to pay war bonds, for example.
And as you know, Walt was not exactly his most enthusiastic during the era of these movies for multiple reasons.
These
However,
were just basically paychecks to him.
from what I understand, Saludos Amigos was one of the ones that he actually was passionate about to an extent.
I can understand a bit because, again, both him and his team essentially went on a vacation for that.
Yeah. So the theme of this is that we will be taking an airplane tour to different areas in Brazil or Latin America overall.
A lake that is basically on top of the mountains.
Amazing, isn't it?
And again, it kind of doubles as a documentary because, again, it's supposed to sell you the country.
Yeah, like, I'll give Disney credit. They did make some of the most entertaining documentaries, serious
And that was
or
before.
non-serious.
Nowadays, they just rely on National Geographic because they own that now.
It's only a matter of time until they buy Latin America itself.
Java, we're past the whole Banana Republic era, hopefully.
Good drawing.
Again, the idea behind that was the animators would just go around and actually paint something, that would resemble the style of the locals or the actual environment, just in the traditional Disney animation style.
Interesting how things had to work. Imagine flying halfway across the world just so that you could properly get a setting. Better hope you got very good pictures for reference.
To be fair,
as well.
again, it's not even the first or last time that it has happened. We've seen a more recent example with kind of deadly premonition.
Imagine us making a movie about a
unless you're Carl Weezer. I feel like Joe was the only one that's going to get that reference.
Jimmy Neutron, I know the name of a
Neutron.
character. I just watched the movie one time and I dropped it because I could not stand the animation.
Honestly, for its time, that animation was actually the
I
best
know,
in the
it
biz.
just wasn't for me. So the first short is about who else? Donald. In case you don't know, Mickey was kind of considered the precious child of Walter on this point. So Donald was relegated to most of the hard lifting work just because Walt did not want to waste Mickey on, even normal projects.
Which is weird.
He also thought that Mickey's voice would be air grading for an entire movie.
Which is ironic, given that he had Donald instead show up for more.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact, both for this and the Three Caballeros, Clarence Nash actually did the voiceover for My Country's dub as well. It was kind of unprecedented. Mind you, Donald doesn't really have to say much in this movie, but it's nice that they went the extra mile to have the original voice actor just speaking the language. And of course, because it's Donald, the world hates him.
Sir, you're a duck. You don't need a boat.
Shiri, it's the world never asked this question
Yeah.
for like 80 years.
Shira, let me remind you that Mickey is best friends with a dog and also owns a dog as a pet. So just don't overthink it. You'll save yourself a lot of headaches.
I'm
Yeah,
a
hey,
pain.
Shuri.
I will ask these
Shuri.
questions.
Sure. There's a
Man, I sure hope
cartoon.
that's not a plot point for a future movie.
Shuri, there's a cartoon where Mickey, a mouse, not only owns a dog, but also owns a cat who goes after a mouse who lives in Mickey Mouse's house in a hole in the wall.
I feel like that creates some in-willed political discourse that I actually don't want to touch.
There's
See,
a
I told you.
comic where Minnie Mouse sees an actual mouse and screams, "Ah, a mouse!" I'm like, what are you?
Remember, Fantasia 2000 also has something passing acknowledgement to doing the pomp and circumstance bit. Considerable personality, it spits on you.
Sounds charming. Let's make a movie about llamas someday.
Let me check actually who did the music for this. Paul Smith and Edward H. Plumb. Let me see.
That's how you get a llama to behave, with good
Apparently.
music.
Okay, Paul Smith was one of the original composers working for Disney because he did stuff like Snow White and Rosa and Pinocchio, for example. Also, he was one of the violinists in the orchestra in Fantasia. That's pretty cool. While Edward H. Plum worked in the middle part of the years for stuff like Cinderella, Peter Pan, and Lady the Tramp. Oh, that's cool.
You will believe a llama can have junk in his or her trunk.
Also, similar to what happened with some of the other quote-unquote container movies, each segment has its own director, if I recall correctly. There was one that was supposed to be included in here, but because of time constraint, if I recall correctly, they had to repurpose it in, I think it's Melody Time. It was the Blaming Onto Samba segment that, again, it's stuff that we already seen instead.
That would make sense because it seems like a sequel to the last short in this.
It's more of a sequel to something that happens towards the beginning of the Three Caballeros more than anything.
Though it doesn't have the third member, and if I recall
No,
correctly.
instead it uses the Araqua bird, which appears at the beginning of the Three Caballeros.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no.
Universe does hate him.
And Donald died almost.
Don't worry, the power of fear is powerful. That said, where do we go?
Oh, Donald.
He's trying.
Trust me, Dej, this is
Basically another Tuesday for him.
not just that. Like, trust me, this is even close to the most awkward thing we've seen Donald do.
I can't help but wonder if New Emperor's Groove specifically put in that bridge scene now as a reference to this.
Could it be? Mind you, remember, Joe, but the Roman Cyclobat was so troubled that it could be or it could be not. Brilliant.
You can run, but you can't hide. Planes of a day with their curtains. Imagine them having to put all the camera equipment just to film these scenes.
Yeah. And again, this was done in the early 40s, so the quality for the original negative is actually pretty impressive.
Oh my
Anyway,
god, it's the
goody.
precursors of planes.
yeah, the next segment is about a sentient small plane called Pedro.
Curse you, John
Aw,
Lasseter.
Pedro, you're so adorable.
So basically, I was the first plane of the Cars universe.
So is that why you're afraid
Yes.
of flying?
This is my plane, Sona. You may not like it, but this is where I really am.
The Papa plane, the Mama plane, and the baby plane.
How
Yeah.
do planes reproduce?
Just don't think about it.
Just don't think about it.
Like, does the Papa plane stick his propellers in the Mama plane's gas ancestral?
Peter was adopted. There's your answer.
There you go.
He had to come from somewhere.
You guys ever seen JJ the Plane?
This was 1942.
Yes.
Heard,
This was 1942, Jova. Logic hadn't been invented yet.
Yeah, everyone knows that Logic was invented in the 90s.
Arithmetic,
the
get it?
anatomy of the plane.
That's terrifying.
Yes.
See, they're using that name because it's a Portuguese name. So it's just like, because remember, Brazil. It's just like, oh, and the mountain is evil too. Of course it is.
Yes,
Yep, that's right. The villain of
the
this segment
antagonist
is a
fucking
mountain.
And for no real reason. It just stands there and be angry at the passing planes.
Wow, Pedro, your childhood was interesting,
Intense,
I see.
Yes. So wait a minute. Does this does this mean that I lived as a plane in the 40s and then I reincarnated as Abuela's husband in Kanto? Because
Yes.
basically, there's the protagonist's grandfather, that grandfather in Kanto is called Pedro too. So
Again, as you said, it is a common name. Interestingly enough, apparently, a cartoonist from Chile called René Rios Bettiger, known popularly instead as Pepo, quote unquote, apparently was kind of disappointed in how this particular show represented his country, and in response, he created an original character called Condorito, which went on and became apparently one of the most iconic comic magazine characters in Latin America. What a wild ride.
I won't lie, as a kid, somehow this mountain managed to give me nightmares.
I mean, it's supposed to be intimidating.
You will believe a mountain can kill. We couldn't have just had the planes land and hand it to them. Ah, that would be just silly. What could possibly go wrong?
Okay.
Did somebody literally carve that?
Sure.
Sure, why not?
The giants from the Hobbit movie trilogy, Java.
Shoot, that mountain really is gonna try and kill that baby plane.
Again, that we also see the quote-unquote claim anatomy during the school beat.
I know that's
again, it's a wild with a movie with a short from 1942 manages to pull this thing that is mostly being just internet funny humor and speculations for when Pixar did it.
No.
Well, it's a good thing physics don't work accurately in this view.
Yeah, Pedro, come on.
Come on, Pedro, you can do it. Wow, rain, sleet, and now even snow. This mountain is really trying to murder Pedro.
I like how I like how the gauge is also in Portuguese.
I guess for efficiency's sake. Dun, 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 dun,
Dun, dun, dun. And Pedro died.
Dang, Pedro, you tend to die in your past lives.
I know, right? It's the lot of my life, I guess.
Yeah, like we basically make this whole thing about Pedro fucking dying just to get that mail. And again, to be fair, back then it was really important that it needed to be delivered, and there really were no other ways.
And I guess the mail really was that important.
Okay, now we know now have a nickname for Pedro now.
Edie boy.
Well, Pedro is the Portuguese equivalent of Peter.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
It is?
Yeah, it is.
And just
And
one
there's the
simple
mail.
mail.
Huh.
Deji, look at it this way. One of the main characters of Luca is called Alberto. What do you think?
Albert.
Exactly. I mean, there's plenty of equivalents in that regard.
Oh yeah, I know that. Like Juan, John. I didn't know Pedro was short for Peter.
Well, not short, but yeah.
We're just not mentioning what it is at the current time because, gotta need to promote positively the country after all.
Yeah.
Look at
I
all.
assure you, we're in no ways doing this just to make sure that they don't join our enemies in the war. Hey, Walt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this might be my favorite segment in the movie.
Huh. Yeah, essentially South America has their own versions of cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Because
steak and
Well,
pork.
specific. Actually, I think it's. I think it was sheep meat, or at least beef in some kind, but not pork.
Oh, no. There were some pork bits. Also, there were
Okay,
sausages.
if I recall correctly, also in general, asado is more like the way the meat is treated, because I had something similar to that recently.
Yeah.
Okay, narrator, not for nothing, but you just notice that a dance from very different culture resemble another one. That's not super impressive. More a coincidence more than anything.
But to show how linked we are.
Of course.
And again, please, guys, don't join the enemies in World War II. Because we're so similar, you and I. You know, when you get down to it, this movie could also double down as like one of those behind-the-scenes documentaries.
They actually had a proper documentary about the original trip, which is called Bolt and El Grupo, which apparently was released in 2009, but I don't know if it's on Disney Plus or not. But here's the thing: for this specific short, they're gonna have another familiar face to represent the outro.
Uh-huh. Hey, Goofy. You know, Goofy's actually less of a stranger to the documentary model.
Yeah, it was more common in the 50s rather than at this point. It was more after the war started that Disney produced a shit ton of shorts to boost up the economy boom, and how wonderful, the new capitalistic life was, essentially. And the tongue was firmly placed in cheek for those.
Yep. We just saw Goofy's bare feet for a moment
literally
there.
one frame, kind of like in Fight Club. It's just there to
it's actually
the audience on that fraction.
It's actually not the first time, Jova. There's a short in the 40s called "Learn How to Dance," and we also see it there. Like it's actually happened a couple of times in the old shorts.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, by the way, his horse has the hots for him.
To be fair, he just kissed him, because remember, back in the 1940s, cartoon characters kissed each other all the time for multiple reasons.
This type of plot was also very common also around the time.
Oh, trust me, it's not just a kiss. Like, it's what happens later with the horse, too.
Transition.
Bit awkward.
There we go.
Simple. Oh!
I mean, works both ways, I suppose. Yeah, and also, this short has no sense of fourth-wall transitioning.
Where eating can be a matter of life and death.
And this is why Goofy uses a shield.
He swallowed that.
Could be worse. Could be again the Australian war against the emu, where they lost.
Oh,
no,
God.
it will never stop being funny.
It really won't.
So majestic. Let me check if it's credited who is this narrator.
That thing will majestically murder you.
Yes. Fred Shields, there you go.
Unfortunately, it's...
Sorry, go on.
No, go on.
It was... Jesus. He was an actor of that time, and he was mostly known for voicing Bambi's father, the original. So he became later Patrick Stewart, I guess.
The narrator has ascended. Okay.
Again, this short has no real sense of transitioning.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there you go. I found a piece of trivia in the meantime. The artist came up with a total of 12 unused ideas for shorts about Latin America, and unfortunately only one of them was became the one I mentioned, Blame It on the Samba, but it was used in Melody Time. So yeah, there's apparently a shit ton of ideas that they could not implement, apparently, which would explain also the length. Considering again how around this time again Disney was not really swimming in money, it kind of makes sense. And yet, this is not actually the short that it ends the movie, believe it or not, although it is kind of structured like that.
Honestly, yeah, this would have made more sense to end it on, because for our final short, we don't even really have a proper send-off.
No, not really. This next one is still actually my favorite, though, because it also sees the introduction of the new character created specifically for this. One that did its job because it became very popular in Latin America.
Are you a fan of the Free Caballeros, too?
Yes, actually.
Oh, did you see the new Free Caballeros show?
No, did anyone see that Free Caballeros cartoon?
You mean the newer one, right? Yeah, okay. So that was a weird thing. It didn't officially come out on Disney Channel. It just
existed.
Where was it a thing? Was it just a thing that came on Disney Plus?
It was
Disney
leaked.
Plus?
It aired on different countries, just didn't come to America or Canada.
Which is weird because Free Caballeros is popular in America.
There was
so
also
what the
sort of a
heck?
reunion episode in the new DuckTales seasons.
Oh yeah, I remember because it was incredibly confusing. Like if that new episode had to do with like the new Free Caballeros show.
Oh, look.
And yeah, like Dej mentioned, it had to be leaked. Like nobody was sure what it was.
All right, the actual...
I think it's on Disney Plus now, though.
Yeah,
Yes, Pedro?
Joe Carioca. The actual Portuguese name that's used in Portugal and Brazil is Zé Carioca, which is inspired, like he said, by the actual carioca bird, which is a Brazilian species.
Mm-hmm. Of course, we can't talk about Rio without talking about the carnival.
Mm-hmm. Complete with the parade and everything.
This is a tradition that we also inherited from them.
Oh, so some stuff from Brazil wafted over back to Portugal, I see.
Yes, because, well, that's the thing, Jova. Brazil was originally created by Portuguese people, like the country itself, like people who left the country. You know, in the same way that Portugal was created by Spanish people who left Spain. So,
So I'm noticing a pattern there.
yep. Well, remember, Jova. Okay. Actually,
It's
no.
funny because-
Actually, no. Never mind. Go on.
Funny, because wasn't Mexico also eventually inhabited by Spaniards who were sick of the Spanish rule?
Yes. Well, remember, all of these places were ex-colonies in general. It's not like we were inhabited, it's more like territories they conquered fiercely.
It happens all the
And
time.
then
You
eventually
guys.
They just, and then eventually they said, you know
Okay.
what, we've had enough of
Fun
Spain.
fact, this very song we're about to hear, apparent pronunciation again, Acureio do Brasil, was also used by Terry Gilliam in his movie called Brazil, which makes sense.
Cute.
Yeah.
You were saying, Pedro?
Well, remember, Jova, you guys were once a British colony. So.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is technically the last short of the movie, which is fine and all. Unfortunately, as a result...
They actually kept the original language for this one. Cool.
Yes. Yes, Pedro?
No, I didn't say anything, no.
But yeah, in this case, again, it's cool the idea that the paint they use literally comes to life to create the landscape.
Uh-huh. I'm guessing the idea was to have this be the closing number. I guess I just find it weird that, unfortunately, we don't get any outro from the narrator for it.
You will actually see it basically kind of just stops immediately.
But yeah, you know, I'm not too surprised this is your favorite one. Like, this is definitely probably the most popular short of the movie.
You also have to understand, Jova, that as a little kid, it was kind of the ideal thing for me, just the mysteriousness of the language and the different colors of the...
As you can probably guess, the country where this is most popular is, of course, Brazil itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it turns out that this one was, well, it was successful at what it wanted to do, i.e. keep Brazilians from joining.
I wonder why, though.
Well, again, it painted their country in a mostly positive light and everything, so they were
Which is
happy.
Something that they desperately need nowadays. So
Yeah.
Thanks, Bolsonaro.
Yeah, thanks to all those memes.
I tell you, Brazil these days is pretty much the Latin American equivalent of Florida.
Again, I think I mentioned, but again, it's the whole meme, you're going to Brazil, but...
Oh my
Okay.
God, Donald,
And Fast
you
and
were a
Furious
famous
5.
fly trapper.
Yeah, and also,
It,
you might have recognized one of the frames, because one of these out of context makes Donald look like he's having a boner, so it was used out of context in modern meme culture.
I tell you,
Yeah,
maybe that's exactly what we need, since this movie is a bit too old at this point. Maybe that's what we need here. We need a Brazilian equivalent of Luca.
Yeah, maybe. All right,
We're
let me
literally
check.
seeing the birth of a new character, Donald.
Yep.
Yep. This character is mostly popular in the Disney comics. That's where he's made most of his appearances, and yeah, like particularly in Brazil and Portugal, he's very popular.
Oh, if I recall correctly, very so.
There you go, José Carioca. That's the actual proper name, but for the English dub, they just named it Joe Carioca.
Mm-hmm. Let me check what actually voices him.
Help me because I'm watching this mute. Did he say Jose Carioca?
Yes.
Okay. For the record, Jose, that's the Spanish pronunciation. The correct pronunciation for Brazil would be José, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, he's a big fan.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Again, it's the classic case of the new character who's actually a big fan of the old one, which helps put them in a positive light.
He just said "O Pato Donald." That's Donald Duck in Portuguese.
Mm-hmm.
Portuguese English dictionary.
Trust me, Donald, it takes a bit more than just a dictionary to get that shit.
He's trying.
Trust me. And I know this because, trust me, like my English teacher back in the day even told me, it's incredibly hard for English native speakers to learn Portuguese because the language is radically different. And not just in the words, the way it's constructed.
Yeah, even apparently José's voice actor voiced the character even for the Italian dub. Again, there was this kind of commitment that Disney had for these two movies. I kind of like that. And not just for my country, also apparently for the actual Spanish dub, it has happened. So, again, the interesting trivia.
For the Portuguese dub, we didn't even dub them. We just left. What the Brazilian dub did.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the interesting thing. Over here, every time Zé Carioca shows up on anything, like in the new DuckTales show, we just get that Brazilian actor to do some lines for us for our dub.
Also, apparently, Droba, again, I don't really have a source for this, it's just cited on TV tropes, so, again, not sure how much of a percentage it is. Apparently, Japan also loves these two short movies. Oh, this. See, one thing that you really don't see these days, unless it's more of like an exception, this kind of thing, Donald is about to get wasted.
Sweet.
So this is why it's your favorite.
Tio. Let's not forget, Free Caballeros is literally about Donald wanting to get laid.
Yeah.
With live action woman.
This was back in the day. Well, again, this is back in the day where animation wasn't seen as a kids thing. It was just yet another form of entertainment, like it should be seen.
Now let's use that alcohol to paint us a picture.
Yep. Again, the idea behind this is the fact that the samba is enjoyed better under spirits.
Okay.
I actually never tried cachaça for myself, so I don't know actually how it tastes like.
I'm sure that's all you're going to be enjoying tonight, son.
Why is that lady dancing with a duck?
Sherry, one of these days.
Sure. Maybe she's in.
Also, weird lyrics on part of the song. Basically, you guys didn't. Okay, they're singing in Portuguese. Allow me. He said, "Meu Brasil brasileiro." What does that translate out to? It translates out to Brazilian Brazil, and I'm just like, redundant much? Like it's just.
Also, yes, not even kidding. That's how it ends. Donald
that's
gets
how
arrested and gets laid.
Well, remember. Well, remember.
Absolute Chad.
Well, remember.
You see, guys, if you go to Brazil, you too can have
Yeah.
the ultimate night.
Remember, this was basically just an excuse for Walt and his team to go on vacation to Brazil and South America in general. So.
Remember, the main idea of it was to be a propaganda film that would help convince the people down in South America not to join the Axis powers, essentially.
Mm-hmm. And go on vacation. And go on vacation.
So that's basically it. So final thoughts, Dej.
Okay. I really enjoyed this. This is very beautifully animated. I am sorry about the noise in the background.
The ice cream truck.
The ice cream truck. Again.
Yes.
They're going to bring Deji to Brazil.
I will never understand. I agree with Ellie in the first Last of Us. I will never understand the appeal of that thing. Go on.
You just never had a childhood.
I did, actually. I got plenty of ice cream back in my childhood, just not from fans. Go on.
Yeah, this is nice. I really do enjoy the Pedro, the plane, and the Goofy short.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is really nice. Glad I saw it.
Shiroi.
This was cute. My favorites are probably the one we just saw, the first Donald short, and also the Goofy one as well.
Oh, you didn't like my cameo as a plane?
Oh, you died again. Not like we've seen that before.
Yes. 3 minutes to live.
I mean, they're all like I enjoyed all of them, but those three were my favorites. So sorry, Pedro. Anyway,
Sometimes saddest anime betrayals.
that's it. This is just cute. It was fun.
Jova.
Yeah, no, I liked this movie back as a kid, and I still like it now. It's nice and informative. It's entertaining, as this movie should be. My favorite short is still the Goofy one, though I always did enjoy the final Donald one as well. I mean, I enjoyed all of these. And yes, it's nice to see Pedro's backstory in one of his past lives as a sentient plane that would later cause the Cars universe to be created. And also be responsible for planes being a thing.
That's another thing we can.
Also, now that we've looked at this movie, we have to cover My Friend Pedro.
Well, that was already in the table.
Why are you guys gonna do that?
That was already on the table anyway. But
okay, Pedro, are you the one doing My Friend Pedro?
well, that doesn't work, Joe. It has to be someone who's not named Pedro. Otherwise it doesn't work.
Anyway, again, we'll see. Continue.
But no. Great movie. It's probably one of my favorites of the packaging era, along with Melody Time and Free Caballeros. Good stuff.
Pedro?
Yeah, see, now that's another thing. When we do the planes movies, that's another thing we can complain about. The missed opportunity not having Pedro, the plane, make a cameo in it. That would have been...
Again, considering how
Or
apparently Latin America, that was the one thing that Latin America did not like, to the point where they got spited so much they had to create their own original character, which became popular on his own. I get the idea. They might have... Okay, I still have no idea why they made planes in the first place, mind you, because the merchandising for cars at that point was kind of dry, but whatever.
Okay, aside from that, it's probably one of the better ones of these. Mostly because the shorts, instead of trying to be a discount Fantasia, it's just a combination of normal shorts, you know, and as a result, they're much more easily digestible. So yeah, kudos to that. The only thing that is not, like I said, is the weirdly redundant lyrics at the end. Brazilian Brazil. The part when it doesn't see much. Hey, Jova, how are things over there in American America?
Well, you see, here in North America, in the United States of America, in this very American city of mine here, we're doing just fine, my fellow not Americans.
Yes.
In America.
Yes.
Maybe who knows, that will be the
I
gimmick.
wonder-
I'll give the lyrics to Pedro before we do the Three Caballeros.
Maybe
and we'll
that's
see
a-
how
may-
it actually turns out in their entirety.
Maybe that's
I
what.
wonder if it was the intention to be repetitive for the sake of the music theme in that regard.
I guess it's
to
just
show just how damn Brazilian we love it.
that's what we need to. We need a new version of Un Bacio a Mezzanotte that has the Italian Italy thing in there somewhere.
Of course.
Or the Portuguese Portugal.
Yes. Anyway, yeah, it's fine. It's enjoyable for what it is. So,
All right.
and I do get a kick out of at the very least a positive portrayal of Brazil in general. So that's nice. Go
All
on.
right, I'll conclude quickly. I'm pretty much with Jove on this one, except again, just my favorite short being the last one compared to. But again, I don't really have a problem with any of these. Again, they're on point. Kind of wish we would see what the rest of the concept turned out to be outside of blaming it on the samba. But alas, what happened. Again, it's interesting to see this kind of time capsule that back then had a complete different meaning, but nowadays it has actual historical value just without technically, being super important in the first place. Again, it's very interesting, and I appreciate for it. I'm actually glad that my grandparents did manage to keep a copy, a VHS copy, because, again, like I said in the intro, this was kind of hard to come by for a very long time. Only recently, again, say what you want about how Disney Plus is unfair in a lot of fields. It actually managed to bring a lot of these old cartoons that were only very hard to be found, or in case actually censored in their full proper quality that were like very originally, at a very convenient way to find them. So at the very least, it actually helped people for preservation of all of these old products, and again, that is appreciated for that alone. But again, this was fine. However, the next one is arguably to me even better than this. Not sure exactly when we'll do it, but tune in eventually for The Three Caballeros, starring once again Donald, also Zé Carioca, and also a newcomer, Panchito Pistoles. You heard that.
That's
See ya.
See ya.